Good evening, Canada. Tonight, we're diving deep into a rising storm that's not just brewing south of the border. From the endless protests that shook our streets to the unsettling whispers of foreign ideologies creeping north, we're about to discuss the growing political entanglement between Canada and the United States, one that could reshape the very fabric of our democracy. For years, we've prided ourselves on our differences. Two countries, two political systems. But as tensions flare and American-style rhetoric sweeps into Canadian discourse, the lines between our paths are blurring dangerously fast. In tonight's episode, we examine the echoes of American politics reverberating through our nation, from the trucker protests that gripped the nation to the rise of right-wing populism mirroring our southern neighbors' influence. We're witnessing the growing consequences of this dangerous convergence. And with our upcoming election on April 28th, the time for Canada to reflect on its own identity has never been more urgent. This is your wake-up call, Canada. The world is watching, and the choices we make now will have a lasting effect on the future of our country. Stay tuned as we unpack this urgent issue. I'm Mr. G, and this is Political Kitties, where the world's most important questions meet the most intense debates. Let's get into it.
In Springfield, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
Picture it. Saskatchewan, 1979. The crops were golden, hockey games were being played, and universal health care, having been established here in 1962, was almost old enough to vote. Oh, and would you look at that, the year I was born. Two neighboring nations, once friendly, but now linked by more than just geography. From the rocky shores of Newfoundland to the wide plains of Saskatchewan, we've long told ourselves we're different. Two countries, two systems, two paths. But what happens when one path starts to blur into the other? When the political winds of our southern neighbor whip through our own backyards? It's not just a coincidence anymore. It's a warning. And trust me, Canada, the time to pay attention is now. It starts with a spark, a whisper on the wind. It's subtle at first. A protest here, a few loud voices there, but we're not talking about any protest. We're talking about the echoes of a movement that crossed borders from the US into the heart of Canada, the Freedom Convoy. What began as a protest against COVID restrictions turned into something far more sinister, an entire political force gathering steam, fueled by rhetoric straight out of the Trump playbook. From freedom to fascism, we saw it all. And it didn't just stay in Ottawa, it crept into the heart of rural Saskatchewan. Look, I've seen it with my own eyes. That flag, the Confederate flag, flapping in the wind like some twisted trophy in rural Canada. And I kid you not. We're not talking about some fringe group here. No, these aren't just isolated voices. This is a movement that's swelling, fed by the same ideas that surged in the United States. We've got conservative leaders echoing the same divisive rhetoric as Trump. It's no longer a question of whether Canada is influenced by America. The question is how deep that influence runs and how long until it shifts our very identity. For decades, we've prided ourselves on being the calm neighbor to the south, but something has changed. Our political cultures aren't just influenced by what happens in the United States, they're becoming intertwined with it. It's the quiet creep of American political movements into Canadian soil, where we like to think we're different. Whether we're talking about economic policies, social unrest, or the spreading influence of far-right ideologies, the lines have become blurred. The danger is real. With Canada's election fast approaching on April 28th, we are at a crossroads. The winds of change are blowing, and the world is watching. What will we choose? Will we be swept up by the same storm of populism that tore through the US and left so much devastation in its wake? Or will we stand firm, fighting for the very values that define Canada? This is Canada's moment, and it's more important than ever to recognize the power of our vote. The very core of our democracy is at risk if we don't pay attention to the signals. Our leaders may not be Trump, but the rhetoric is starting to sound all too familiar. Hey folks, I just want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to each and every one who has subscribed, liked, commented, and shared our content. Seriously, your support keeps this little corner of the internet thriving, and I appreciate you more than my cats appreciate a canned tuna treat. If you're new here, welcome. Political Kitties is where we break down politics in a way that's informative, engaging, and of course, sprinkled with a little feline attitude. So, if you haven't already, tap the like, and if you enjoy the content, hit the subscribe and leave a comment. I want to hear from you. What's on your mind? What political topics have you been curious about? Your input helps shape what we cover next and keeps our channel from being swept into the internet's litter box. And don't forget to share our videos with your fellow politically curious humans, because the more informed we are, the better choices we make. All right, let's get back to the show. Look, Canada, we've always been the thoughtful, patient, the peacekeepers. But that doesn't mean we get to sit back and ignore the winds of political change sweeping across our borders. The world is watching, yes, but we're also watching ourselves. And the way I see it, this is a moment of reckoning. Canada is standing on the edge. If we fail to recognize the creeping influence of American political culture on our own, it won't just be an election we're voting for. It will be the future of our very way of life. Vote like your life depends on it, because in a way, it really does. The world and Canada's future is in our hands. And trust me, we're the ones who have to face that angry, judgmental cat stare from history. You know the one. Yeah, that look. It's time to vote like the world is watching, because it is. And in this political climate, it's more dangerous than ever to sit this one out. Remember, April 28th, this is more than just a vote. It's your future. And the time to act is now. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and as always, keep your perspective. I'm Mr. G for Political Kitties. Have yourselves a fabulous evening, and we'll see you back here again soon. Meow for now.
Canada, it's time to make your voice heard. Voting is easy, and it matters. New to voting? No problem. If you're not sure where to go, visit elections.ca. Together, we shape our future. Canada votes, and so do you.